Today, we're diving into the 4 reasons why you might be achieving everything you thought you wanted, but feeling completely empty inside. Why your wins don't register. Why that success you're chasing feels impossible to actually grasp. If you've ever felt like you're winning, but not winning, like you're successful on paper, but empty inside, this one's for you. Hi, and welcome to Chaos and Chemistry, a podcast focused on having all the chemistry and feel good you desire in your relationships without the chaos and toxicity. My name is Legan. I'm a former counselor turned coach, and I'm here with my friend and co-host Max.
Hey guys, my name is Max. I'm a relationship and trauma coach working with people to improve their lives.
So, Max, why does this topic around success but not feeling successful matter?
I think all our episodes are important, but this one's very important because your motivation and what you're striving for will dictate the life you lead. And we talked about manifestation. If you're manifesting from an incorrect place or incorrect perspective, having the wrong goals, it's going to bring back things that you're going to spend your whole life achieving something that once you get it, it's not going to be what you thought it was. So we wanted to make sure that we have a correct vision as to what we're actually seeking so that we can change our lives and pull in the reality that we want. What about you, Legan? What do you think is important?
Well, if you're striving for success, you're a hard worker.
Right.
You've gotten degrees, you've taken risk, you've probably done a lot of things in your life that most people would not do. And so nothing breaks my heart more than seeing people that have done all the work professionally, academically, emotionally, as far as risk go, and then they can't even enjoy it. I mean, I know so many people and work with so many people, and they're successful, and they can't even enjoy the success they've created. They can't enjoy the family they've created. They can't enjoy the business they've created because of all their fears and their associations with success that are incorrect. And so they think that they need to do more, get more, or something's wrong with them. And it really is a lot more simple than that. The number one reason that success is not giving you the feeling that you thought it would give you is that success is not an emotion. So you're actually looking for a feeling through the means of an achieved goal or outcome. Success is the outcome. It's the achievement. It's the desired result. It's not an emotion. And so what people do is they think that if I reach this goal or if I get this outcome, then I will feel successful. But that doesn't happen because it's impossible. It would be like me washing dishes and me going, wow, I feel like clean dishes. I feel like clean dishes. This feels so good. These clean dishes. I don't feel that. The clean dishes are the outcome. What I feel is maybe productive or pride or joy that I have a running water. I mean, I might feel some sense of like, oh, it's nice to just check out and wash dishes if you hand wash every once in a while. But do you see what I mean? It's not something that you don't feel the clean dishes. You feel the experience of cleaning them. So success is the same way. What you're wanting is the experience of success, but you're missing it. And you're identifying success with this desired result or this desired goal. Well, how long does that last? I mean, if you get an Emmy or you get a Golden Globe, how long are you on stage? 3 minutes? And most people probably aren't feeling anything. They're probably up there going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. They're like in shock. So how often do you actually feel the outcome that you think is going to give you something? You don't.
And if you really think about it, like all your successes in the past haven't really solved any of your problems. Like we've all been at some level successful, right? We've all won an award here and there at high school. Like it was fun. We had a great thing, but it didn't stop the void within me or my avoidant tendencies or my crappy relationships. And I just kept having like career successes, getting promotions, getting more money, buying the things. But that underlying deficit within me doesn't change because cleaning the plates doesn't actually change your emotional state long term. It's only a short-term fix, which gets us to number 2, which is the fundamental problem in all this is that you're trying to escape your present emotions with a future state. You think success is going to give you the relief from the present emotions you're trying to avoid: inadequacy, shame, low self-worth. So right now you're in a state, you don't feel good. And now you've created this fictional horizon that once you get there, it's going to solve all your problems. But the problem is that striving that one day I'll have those problems fixed, you're reinforcing it so that when you actually get there, you've just practiced always thinking that one day it's going to be there. So you'll get the car, you'll get the fame, you'll get whatever. That's at best case, right? You might not even get that. And then you're up a creek, right? But let's say you even get that. Well, you've practiced decades of thinking that it's going to be somewhere else in the future. And that day, the day after the Grammy, and you're back at your old place with the same old fears, the same old problems, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks that too wasn't. And then you're a real problem because before you had something to distract yourself. Now you have nothing to distract for, and it'll just send you in a bigger crisis.
Great point. We think we want success, but really we don't subconsciously, because if
Right.
we actually got the success we needed, then what do we have to think about? What are we going to do with the rest of our life? Because then we have nothing else to distract from. So what most people do is they say they want success, sabotage along the way. Maybe they get everything they've ever wanted and then they just blow it up. They leave their family, they leave their marriage, they sabotage their career. And you go, why would they do that? Why would they leave all these great things? Well, now they have something to work towards again.
Yeah, the pattern is the pattern, people. It's the pattern that causes all the suffering, not the external things. External things come and go, but they're always revolving around that intrinsic pattern that you've developed that we're basically conditioned into as a child. Until you get at the root of it, until you get at that pattern and start shifting it, telling yourself, hey, maybe that future state is not going to fix my problems, then you're actually getting to the meat of it, and then you're actually shifting things a lot.
Yes. Then you can actually feel what a successful life feels like. But if you always need to strive, you can't handle success, because then what? You've reached the end of the book. You've reached the end of, you die. I mean, what happens? It's kind of like failure. Success and failure are two sides of the same coin. The chapters go on, the book continues. So yes, you can reach your goals, but the next day, the sun comes up the next
Back to
day,
it, yeah.
and then what? So
Yeah, I mean, duaholism is probably one of the main
mm,
addictions, drugs on the planet, because it's reinforced by society. Oh, you put out this great movie, you're this great actor. Wow, that's amazing. They're actually egging you on to keep torturing yourself, to make more movies, keep seeking more validation, keep seeking more acclaim. It's a vicious cycle because it's basically the blind leading the blind. The people that get to control like the narratives in society are the same unhappy people that have strived their whole lives, that they can't realize it to themselves that, hey, maybe this doesn't work out. Maybe we shouldn't be pushing this on the other people. But when you're so addicted to that as your only coping mechanism, then when you get there, you're like, oh, this has to be happiness. And then you just push down all the unhappy thoughts. And then you just portray that to everybody so that the whole cycle continues. It's like a pyramid scheme of unhappiness. So you have to break out. Life is basically the matrix. You're in a matrix, and the system has taught you that there's always a carrot that you can strive for, and in that striving, you'll eventually find happiness. But it's seeing through it and realizing, I'm not really seeking the clean plates or the fame. There's something deeper here, and that's what we're getting to today.
Perfect intro to number 3. You're not looking deeper into what you believe success will give you and finding other sources to self-generate those emotions that you're looking for. So self-generate means that you have an emotion you want to feel. Let's say the feeling is proud of yourself, or you want to feel accomplished, or you want to feel joy, or you want to feel creative. Thinking about, how can I create this feeling with the action I take? So the feeling that you're actually looking for is an action. It's an experience. But what most people do is they just think that what they're looking for is success, and they focus on that outcome, completely bypassing the experience of success. So that's why you don't feel it, is because you're bypassing it. You're bypassing all the emotions that are underneath success that you can only experience when you're taking action. 3 years ago, when I decided I was going to go out on my own as a coach, and I started working with a business coach, she gave me this activity, and it was so good. She said, because I wasn't successful in my mind, in my perspective, she said, what does each month for the next 6 months, what does success look like for you? And that first month, it was just meeting with someone about my website. That was success. The next month, it was doing a workshop. The next month, it was sending my first email newsletter. I wasn't successful. I wasn't Mel Robbins. I wasn't Oprah, but I felt successful because I felt proud of myself, because I was doing something that was scary and I'd never done anything like that before. And so you have to go deeper into what it actually is emotionally that you're looking for. Because if you keep it limited to the outcome, then you keep success in limitation. And everybody wants more success. I don't know one person that's like, oh, this is enough success for me. I mean, Jim Carrey, but like other than him, most people just want more because it's not solving that root problem of dissatisfaction. So they think, I need more success. I need a different type of success. But when you keep success attached to an outcome or a result, you're immediately limiting it. So you're doing all these things and having all these wins, but you're completely disconnected from the experience that you're seeking. It's like looking for $100 and it being like taped on your shirt. And you're just looking around and you can't see it. And it's like on you the whole time.
Incidentally, Jim Carrey is the guy who had a spiritual awakening. When he talks about it,
Right.
very clear. He's the only one that broke out of the Matrix because
Mm.
he woke up and said, wow, this Jim Carrey guy is a fictional character I'm playing. I'm playing a guy who's like the Hollywood actor. He
Mhm.
saw through it. He saw through the bullshit and he found himself again. Versus, like, you think of like Will Smith. There's a guy who has everything, had all the Men in Black, wealthy
Mm.
as heck. And here we are acting like a child. Like, he never matured past his traumas, two completely different things. His trauma led him to always be becoming, always being seeking something and being on that perpetual wheel and never actually finding it, because you can't find it externally to yourself. It's found within. It's found by not doing anything, by not striving, by breaking that pattern and coming back home. The striving pattern is the problem, not the end goal. Everyone focuses on the end goal and realizes it's the continuous striving. So when you focus on, like Legan was saying, just everyday things and reassuring and loving yourself through that process, it's no longer some fictional state where you're going to be happiness, but you're practicing being happy in the present and being happy with the little wins and
Mhm.
being happy with just loving every moment of life. It's the journey that has value here. It's not the end goal. So if you're always focused on the end goal as some mythical state, that horizon's always going to be moving because you're going to be so practiced. But if you focus on the everyday, that's
Mhm.
when actual love arises, when you can actually start enjoying the process.
What's interesting about the Jim Carrey example is that I see him as extremely successful now. And before, I knew he was a success. Like, logically, if you would have said, "Is Jim Carrey a success?" I would have said yes. But now you can feel it. You
Yeah.
can feel him when he speaks and he gives talks at different graduations. And I've heard him speak of grief. And I mean, there's this connection to him because before his success was around a role.
Literally the mask, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and now it's just him sharing his gifts. And that was his gift too. So it's not to devalue his contribution, but I love that his vision of success and his definition of success grew as he grew. So that leads us into number 4. What is your definition of success? Not what did your parents tell you is success or what did you learn by watching TV or being on Instagram, but what does a successful life look like to you based on who you are and your values?
Yeah. Independent of what what
Yes.
society tells you. Yeah.
Yes. If nobody else on the planet, I heard this example the other day. I thought this was the best question in the world. If nobody else on the planet existed, what would success look like to you? If you were the only human being on earth, what would a successful life be?
No idea.
Mhm.
That's a deep one. Wait,
Yeah, but it
uh,
does get you
like, if you
thinking.
take out all external validation and
Mhm.
reinforcement,
Yeah.
who are you truly?
Yeah.
Well, I think you go back to what I always think is, like, you go back to your childlike state, like all the
Mhm.
childlike wonder you had before you got corrupted by like the school system and the society and grinded out. What were your intrinsic gifts before you were worried about peer pressure and all that? Who were you? And
Mhm.
you'll probably, I mean, I was always very joyful, very happy, just laughing, joyful, creative. And as I do this healing work, I basically rediscover all that by removing all the contamination, essentially, that people taught me to be something that I'm not. I am not the guy who's going to climb the corporate ladder. I'm not the guy who's going to give myself to some stupid software app. I could care less. But I had to go. It was a very multi-decade process to figure that out for myself.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. I mean, what do you think, Legan? Who would you be?
I think I would be similar to who I have become. I really do. I can't think of one thing I do to be successful. I really don't even care. It's not even a vocabulary in my brain. I would still, if we had no listeners, I would still love to meet with you every week and talk and teach. And if I had no students, I would still love to teach. I mean, it's just, it's things that can't be taken away from you. What's interesting is that when I was younger, I felt more serious and I felt more sensitive and I felt more like analytical. I was always kind of
Mm,
analytical and I always felt sensitive and just kind of observing the world around me and a little insecure.
yeah.
And what's interesting is I learned that success is being likable, being funny, being smart, all these things. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of reconnected to that analytical, more serious. I'm not as goofy. I'm not as funny and silly as I was when I was in all my trauma. I always say like I used to be like really funny when I was traumatized and a hot mess in relationships. But now I think I'm more serious. I think I'm less extroverted, but I really never was extroverted. I was much introverted. I was much more introverted.
So your natural state is more introverted, and you thought the
Hmm.
extroversion was kind of like a way to find validation and
For
fill the
sure.
void. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I did it really well. I
Yeah.
mean, I did it. I because I didn't even know. We don't know. We just think this is what success is, and this is what I need to be to have success, all while feeling like an imposter because you are an imposter
You
because
are
that's not
totally an
really who you
imposter.
are. And then we think, oh, I'm an imposter because I'm not qualified, or I'm an imposter because I'm not lovable, or I'm not worthy. No, you're just pretending to be somebody that you're not because
Yeah.
you think success is this.
I don't beat myself up for my imposter years
Mhm.
simply because I didn't program me, other people programmed me, and I was just going along for the ride. And it takes a level of maturity and self-development to finally break out of that. And when you break out of that, you have a lot of compassion for yourself because you weren't the ones that put those shitty things. I mean, my nieces, I was telling you that I went to Disneyland.
Mhm.
I mean, they're the most loving people on the face of the
Mhm.
earth because their intrinsic nature, our intrinsic nature is love. We come to the planet in love. If you have very loving parents, they protect that innocence and that loving nature. And those people radiate such beautiful love. I mean, just to be around them is just beautiful. And that's who we all are. Before, like, we have
Mhm.
crappy parents, if we're unfortunate enough to have uncrappy parents, and, bullies at school, the capitalist system that if you don't do this and do that, if you're not always striving to improve yourself, if
Mhm.
your miles not getting faster, if your bank account's not getting big enough, you're like, so the subliminal messaging suffocates people, and every child comes with love eventually gets totally suffocated, and then by the time they're 30 they're totally dead inside. They really are emotionally dead inside, chasing something that'll never bring them happiness even if they do get it. So if they win they still lose, if they lose they lose. It's a
Mhm.
losing game.
Mhm.
Jim Carrey is a great example, Legan, because he broke out of it. He saw how ridiculous it was, and he saw it by getting to the pinnacle. I mean, when we were growing up, Jim Carrey was the end all be all. So he had everything we're all striving to achieve,
Mhm.
and he thought it was empty. He found it was totally empty. And that gets us to like the ultimate, in my opinion, is, which is number 5, is material success cannot fill the void in the heart. Love is the only thing that has value here in this world of desperate people clawing each other to get to the survival. When love arises out of that, it is like a lotus flower rising up from the mud. The society, because it's very survival based, it's always fear based and survival, right? All the news, all the media keeps you always in a perpetual state of fear, in a perpetual state of striving for some future state. In that, people do gross, hideous things to each other to get money, to get power, to get land, to get whatever they're seeking, right? The ego seeks. When someone breaks out of that mind trip and finds love for themselves, that they are already perfect in the present moment. Life is a movement from perfection to perfection. There's nothing you're lacking. The only thing you're lacking is awareness that you're not lacking anything. And that
Mhm.
awareness is hard to find. But once you find that, love arises. So you break out of the matrix. And from that mud, which is really quite ugly, love arises. And then you start loving people. And it's so, what I was telling Vegan before, it's so contrary to nature because nature has us clawing at each other and try to, eat or be eaten. But love is like, what is this? And the only
Mhm.
moments in life that really matter is love. When I'm with my nieces, I love them to death. It's really the only thing I'll remember when I'm on my deathbed is hanging out with my nieces, hanging out with my brothers, hanging out with my family,
Mhm.
all the
Mhm.
people that I've touched, this podcast, like all the loving things I've done, all the material things. Yeah, you need them to like put food on the table. So you need some basic level. I'm not going to say like if you're poor, that's okay. Get some basic level. You need some basic levels. But beyond that, you're
Mhm.
just striving for something that's totally illusionary. The only
Mhm.
thing that has value on this plane is love. So if you figure that out,
Mhm.
then it's not hard to find love. Love is always around you, but you have to get to the level of being able to resonate that love to receive
Mhm.
it.
Yes. And
Yeah.
learn what it actually is. I mean, most of what we think is success, love, so many respect, so many of our concepts are distorted
Mm.
because of the experiences that we had in childhood and the people that taught us about these big ideas of life. So these big concepts like love, success, satisfaction, happiness, joy, you have to relearn what those are because we all were born into imperfect environments and we picked up from the world around us what these things mean. And then we get to be in our 30s and we've had the family or we've had the kids or we've gotten the job or we've gotten the degrees and we still feel empty. And I think that's why a lot of midlife crisis happen, because before you were always striving. So there was a reason for your emptiness. You're like, well, once we get here, it'll be better. Or our relationship will get better once we get here, or once we have the kid, and once we do this. It's always once we. And it's just living in the future. And then you get it. And then what? Well, and then what everybody thinks is, well, I need to blow up my life and start over. It's like you have to go deeper into what is actually going on and why you feel this level of dissatisfaction with your life, because I promise you, it is not about something outside of you.
Everyone that has actually gotten to happiness tells you the same thing. Like you have to just be receptive to listening. The people that aren't happy tell you one thing. The people that are happy, it's very clear that it was never about, it's usually about family, about love, about respect, about taking care of their wives or taking care of whatever they love is what defines them. And that's the story you have to listen. And it's hard because the messaging is so strong, you know, and we're so conditioned by our school system of like always achieving. To break out of it, it is hard. So I don't beat anyone up for not knowing the thing. I mean, it really, in my case, I mean, it took, in how I understand things, the Buddha came through 3,000 years ago to tell you that desires and attachments to the false is going to cause you suffering. I mean, that guy knew 3,000 years ago, but nobody listens to him. But the messaging is there. You have to get off the rat race. And then it's uncomfortable to get off the rat, because if you're not duoholic, what are you doing? You know, it might send you really into a crisis, but I'd rather be in that crisis of breaking out of the matrix like Neo and finding love again and finding yourself again and finding your desires again, not other people's desires, but what you desire. That is a painful process, but I'd rather be on that than, you know, get to my 60s, 70s and have wasted my whole life. There's like a TikTok I was telling Legan about where there's like, that's all AI generated. It's like these old guys like, what are your regrets in this life? And he's like, I regret that I didn't get more shareholder value for the shareholders of, you know, Acme Corp. That's funny, but that's what people do. All they care about is really, at some deep level, survival and making more money. But those things are just illusions. The only thing that has value here in this mud is the lotus flower of love and loving other people. So the more you practice love today, the better you'll be off. So it's really getting out of your head and that fictionalized future and coming back to the present, that what can I do today to start loving myself, you know, accepting myself. We're all perfectly imperfect. How can I really step into that? And then little by little in the present, in today, you start opening up, and it's really a transformation that happens, but it's not going to happen in some distant time frame. It happens today.
What would make you feel proud of yourself today? What could you do today that would make you feel proud of yourself? And maybe that's setting a boundary with someone. Maybe that's going and watching your niece or nephew's Little League baseball game, even though you really don't want to be there. Maybe it would be doing something thoughtful for someone else. Maybe what could you do today that would make you feel proud of yourself? Maybe it's having a conversation with your son or daughter that your parents never had with you. Maybe it's being brave. That is success. Success is an action. And everybody thinks, well, that's not enough. That's not going to get me to the top. How do you know? Maybe it will.
You don't know.
Maybe it will. You don't know. You don't know. It may be the first step towards you actually having the success you want, but it starts with a feeling. And what everybody wants is they want the external thing first, and then they don't understand why the feeling isn't there. Start with the feeling. And trust that that feeling will plant success flowers in the ground, and then you'll have a success garden.
Amen, sister.
If today's episode resonated with you, please reach out to us at www.chaosandchemistry.com. You can find Max on www.askcoachmax.com, or you can find me at www.leganlions, spelled with a Y, Lyons.com. It's the first step towards feeling good in the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. We'll see you next time.